Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Triple TV. Thank you all for coming back and joining me in the new T3 Productions. I wanted just to come on here and apologize for my sound on the last video. I don't know what happened. I tried to fix it, but I did the best I could. Just so that you all know, I did the absolute best I could, and hopefully I can get it figured out and have it figured out for the episodes to come. So this episode right here is kind of stemming off the last episode. And, I got back to my roots, got back to where I learned how to hunt and started to hunt and where I was taught to hunt. So this episode right here is kind of stemming off of that. Just kind of showing you around Grandpa's place just a little bit and the stands that I sit in and what kind of success that I had there and didn't have there and so on and so forth. So y'all hang out with me for just a little bit and check out this episode. Well, we're getting up in the morning a little bit. Not much at all is going on. Kind of show you around a little bit right here, the old stomping grounds. Here, I've killed 3 deer here. I almost tagged out in 2016 on this spot. That was the best year that I had hunting here. I killed 3. I killed 2 bucks and a doe here. The first buck that I killed here was up in this tree over here, and we'll walk down to it. And then we'll just kind of make our rounds here. The first buck I killed was up in this tree right here. I sat up there several mornings. I'd get here before daylight. I'd sit till about mid-morning. It's kind of, right now it's kind of mid-morning. But I'd sit there and I'd see deer about every day, almost. At least a doe every day. Probably around 7:30. So I was just a little bit off on this, but I was also feeding. But that's where I set the deer stand and had probably score-wise, it'd been my biggest buck right here at 30-something yards. This stuff has grown since then, but had him at 30-something yards and missed him. But he was right underneath me at first, and I couldn't get drawn back on him. But he came from right back over here, and a doe ran right underneath the tree, and I had him come out, and then he stopped at that brush right there. He was getting ready to draw back. He kind of went up in the woods. I was grunting a little bit. I was matching his grunts, and the doe came out, and he went low, and I had already ranged everything. And as soon as I shot, the only deer I've ever had duck my string, that was him. Huge buck, huge 8-point. And they ran down the hill, and then there's a pine tree down there. We're not going to walk down in there, but there's a pine tree down in there that I shot a doe out of. This tree right here actually still has my deer stand in it. I could probably climb up there and get it if I wanted it. One of these days I might just climb up there and get it, take it down, and fix it up a little bit. But that's the old deer stand right there. I have shot does out of this stand right here before. Never seen a buck out of this particular tree, but I have shot does out of it. So I mean, it's a good little tree. I was just here early season, and I didn't get to hunt here as much, but it was a pretty good little stand to hunt out of. I'll take you down here. Right down here is where I used to feed. Right here on this flat right here, and had my game cam set up on that tree. So, I mean, you can kind of see it's a flat right here, and then it gradually slopes down. But yeah, I killed that funky 7-point. Killed him out of that first tree I showed you guys, and I killed that doe down here. This has been a good spot. It just hasn't been a great spot like where I'm at now. I was always trying to find other places to go because this place, like I said, just was never notorious for holding deer. But whenever it came down to it and I had to hunt here, or I would really have no place else to go, whenever it came down to it, then I almost tagged out here because I put in the time, put in the work, put in the effort. I'll show you one last spot up here. Now this spot right here was, you see that old chair right there? Get my hand out of the way. This spot right here was my rifle spot. And I rifle hunted here many, many, many times. And as you can see, the reason why I rifle hunted here, you can see everything. Of course, you don't shoot down that way or that way anymore. You don't shoot down that way right there. But whenever I was hunting here before, you could just draw a line right here from like this area over was all the shot. Now it's from like right here over, because this is starting to get grown up with houses. So it's not as good of a spot to rifle hunt anymore. But still, you know, it's still nice to come back and get back to my roots. You know, this is where it all started for me, my passion for hunting, right on this place right here. This is what started my passion for hunting, my love for hunting. There's an old pond right here back whenever I was a kid. It felt like it was a long ways away. You know, whenever I was 4 or 5 years old, it felt like I was a long ways away from the house. And my grandpa would bring me down here squirrel hunting. And then he cleaned this place up a little bit, and he still keeps it as clean as he can, you know, because he's getting up there in age. But this was always, I mean, this is where it all started right here. But anyway, I was sitting in that chair right there one morning in 2016, whenever I was after a deer. I called Mac Daddy, that one I was telling you about that I was drawn back on, or that I drew back on and missed him. The first and only deer ever to string jump me. The next week, I believe, I was up here, first week in the gun season, I was up here, had the old Dirty 30 that I hunt with. It was right before daylight. I started grunting a little bit to kind of, you know, say, hey, I'm here. You know, it always come. Right as the sun's coming up, I hear something walking, and I think it's Grandpa's horses. And I turn around because it kept getting closer and closer. I'm like, there's no way. And it kept getting closer and closer. And I turned around, and right behind me was probably a buck bigger, or I know it was a buck bigger than Mac Daddy, just a giant right behind me. You know, I'm talking 3 yards behind me. He could tell I wasn't supposed to be there, and he just took off down the hill here. And a little bit later that morning, the does started filling in here. When the does started filling in, I looked down there, and there's a buck standing there. Not a giant, and it's that 6-point that I got up in the house. But I shot him and killed him from here. So within 100 yards right here, I'd say, I killed 3 different deer in 1 year. So that's a pretty good spot. So I hope you guys enjoyed that right there. It was really great being back, you know, to where I learned all my hunting and how to shoot and stuff like that. That little pasture right there, that's got a lot of good memories in it, you know, from hunting there, obviously, to being the very first place I ever went hunting, to sighting in guns. There's a dozer deck down there that we used to sight guns in. It's just not the place that it used to be, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's really not a good spot to use a rifle anymore. So, but I was happy to be back there, even though I just had a tiny window of area where I could shoot. But it was just it was great being back there and being back in my old stomping grounds and reminiscing over the years, you know, especially
in 2016, whenever I had the best year ever. There was whenever I killed my first deer on that place, and my first buck on that place, and 2 bucks on that place, and almost I was 1 deer away from tagging out that year. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. We are almost at 100. It's my goal to hit 100 before January 1st, 2022, because in 2022 is probably going to be my biggest year for my vlogs. And if my channel don't blow up within 2022, I don't know, because these vlogs are going to seriously be awesome. Some big plans coming up that we will talk about at a later date. They are going to happen. They are set in stone. We just got to wait for 2022 to get here, and you guys are going to absolutely love what I got coming up. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you guys know whenever I have brand new videos hot off the press, right for your viewing pleasure. So until next time, I'll see y'all on the next one.